Now we will boot up the Leica LAS AF software by double-clicking on this icon on the center of the screen. Please leave this icon on the center of the screen so other users can find it. The system will begin a series of initializations whereby the computer is talking to different components of the microscope. It's testing to make sure that all the galvanometer mirrors and the scan head are working, that the software is talking to the XY stage, the Z axis, the illumination, and the different functions within the microscope. It brings up an OK to continue button, so you click on that and the system will continue to initialize, and you can see that here on this real-time readout of what the system is doing. As you can see, the system is now prompting me to initialize the stage. I would click on this yes button, but before I do, I have to make sure that my stage is free and clear for the initialization. You have to make sure that the condenser is free and clear of any portion of the mechanical stage. If you have a multi-well plate on here or some other structure, remove that at this time and make sure that there's a clear space between the condenser and the stage. Also ensure that the nose piece is dialed down to an empty spot or the 10x objective. Do not turn the nose piece to any other position. It is also very important to remember not to touch the stage with your hand or anything while the stage is initializing. Please allow the stage to initialize completely before you touch it. The LAS AF software is now fully initialized and ready for use. Let's focus on the left side of this screen for a moment. You'll see first of all that Z-Stack is the default setting that comes up when the software is initialized. We won't be using Z-Stacks right away, so let's minimize this tab by clicking on this arrow. The one that we are interested in initializing, however, is the XY Acquisition tab. We'll explain more about this in a second. You'll be working with this tab and also the XYZ tab up here, but I want to point out these first two major tabs which allow you to choose between experiment and acquisition. When you're running the microscope and doing an experiment, you'll be mostly working under the acquisition tab. However, from time to time, you'll want to look at your experiment. And so you click on the experiment tab, and a whole list of the pictures, Z-Stacks, and other information that the system has recorded will be listed here. However, please remember, everything listed here is only in random access memory, or RAM, until you select to save all, and you can do that down here at the bottom. We'll show you more about that in a second. So let's go back to the acquisition tab, and this allows us to control parameters of the microscope. Above the experiment and acquisition tabs are four other tabs. Configure, which is one we'll come back to in a second. Acquire, and that's the tab that we use when we're actually running experiments and gathering data. Process, this allows us to take advantage of a whole host of functions that allow us to process our images. And finally, the Quantify tab, which allows you to export files for reporting, graphs, and such. And so right now, we will focus on the Acquire tab and the Configuration tab.